What's going on, everybody? Hit pause back. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the speed sculpt and paint of this guy. You can see here that I actually brought in a very high-res version of it, and I did that in order to fit these legs into the sockets as best as I could. The geometry is going to be a lot less in the real version, but I did want to make sure that they were at least in the right spot. So I brought in a pretty high-res guy here. If I check out the that triangle count, it's going to be pretty astronomical. Way out of the league of, let's hit 7 here. So it's like pretty much 1.1 million triangles. Obviously I can't use that for the game, so I am going to delete this. And what I'm going to be doing in this video is basically creating hair for this guy. So I'm going to import my actual mesh that I'm going to use. Which is this one here, the fixed UV to paint, where I fixed the UVs and then I painted on that one. So that's my final one. This is the one that's going in the game. And it'll get the normal maps and everything like that, so everything should line up okay. Now what I'm going to do is create the hair for him, and I have run a couple of experiments, and I do think that I've found something that I can use. Now this video is the first video that I've made that's actually full high res, 1920 by 1080. I did that because in this case I really can't work on this in a small window. Usually I'm up in the corner here at 1280 by 720, but I just can't do it for this. I don't have enough space on everything. I gotta play around over here too much. So what I'm gonna do is take this guy and I'm gonna make a duplicate of him. First, let's. What I want to do is basically take these polygons here, and I'm going to do the hair on him in parts. And so I'm going to take this and I'm just going to hit W and hold Shift and clone to the object. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is just kind of move it out of the way a little bit, and then hit S for snap, and make sure I grab right on this face and put it right back into place. So there it is. And now I can basically hide and select it again. Now this is going to be what I'm going to create the hair from. So I want to kind of get rid of some of this stuff that I really don't need. For instance, this geometry here. Oops. Let me grab my old space mouse here. And I don't want hair generating off of this part. So I'm going to get rid of that. And to be honest, I'm just going to undo that and I'm going to grow that. I think I'm going to get rid of all of this. I don't want any hair from that part down. And I want it from about this part forward. So let's show our grid. You can see there's my buttocks. So I'm going to call this hairy butt. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create myself a single hair. So I'm going to create a pyramid. And I'm going to move this up, say about like that or so. Okay, and I'm going to pretty much, yeah, I think that's probably good. So I'll just convert this and I'm going to move it to 0. And what I want to do is get one face and hit Control I and then delete the other faces. So this is going to be a hair. And I'm going to take this before I do anything and I'm going to make sure that this is planar in the X. And my 0 point is correct, but I also want to make sure that I am centered right down the axis here like that. Okay, so that's all nice and centered. So that's going to be, just going to call this single hair. Okay. Okay, let's unhide all. Let's make sure. Getting a little bit of lag. Okay, so just take these guys here, hide unselected. Okay. So you can see I got basically 21,000 polys in the scene. So if I take him and I go pick this, 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 and this, you can see I'm at pretty much 19,000 polygons is my actual character mesh. And I pretty much have a relatively decent budget on this character because this is going to be a boss in my game, and he's going to, for the most part, be the main element during this part of the game. So him being very high resolution is not an issue. However, if it does become an issue and I get some lag or whatever, I can optimize him quite quickly by just simply removing some segments from his certain parts of his body. I wouldn't do it to his main body, which really doesn't need it. It's only about 4600 there or so. But I can lower the resolution on the eyes if I wanted to. Probably I could definitely do the teeth. You can see they've got quite a few segments that, you know, maybe don't need. I gave him an extra chamfer and things like that. Probably don't need those. I did make them to be kind of more like grinders, but I did want it to be kind of a little snarly, a little snaggly. So I do have some room to edit that, but I'm at pretty much 20,000 polygons. We're not counting this because this isn't going to be used. So it's just now I'm thinking that my budget's going to be somewhere around 30 to 35,000 polygons. For this character, and what's going to be, it's going to be it's going to have LODs too, so he's also going to have a version where there is no hair, and then I'm going to use Simply Gone to make sure that he can be shrunk down in the game as well. So what I'm going to do is, let's just unhide by name because I accidentally hid that single hair. Let's take this guy, and we are actually going to use hair and fur, which is going to be fun. So we're going to pop hair and fur on him, and you're going to see that we're going to get this pretty cool looking hair that gets generated. But what this hair actually does is kind of weird, but it screen aligns. I don't know if you can see, like if you look at this one hair here that I'm zooming in on, and if I move, it will actually like screen align itself. You can see as I turn, see that, how it flips, which is cool for hair rendering and whatnot, but we're not using this modifier. What we're going to actually use is an instance node, and we're going to pick this object here. So our actual object is what is going to get the hair. Now, it may be wise for us to texture this right now. And what I'm thinking is, I had done another test where I tried an array of hairs like this, and it just looked too computer generated. I didn't like it at all. So what I'm going to do, before I go too far into it, is unwrap this guy first. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to hit it with an the UVW map set to face and just collapse 2 on that guy. And then I'm going to add a UVW unwrap and kind of just check out what we get here. It pretty much kind of breaks it, but I can take this and give it a peel, quick peel there. And I'm thinking it might be better actually if I just hit it with a planar map from the X. And then quick peel it. Okay, and now I should be able to pack it in. And let's see here. If I display view, I want to make sure that I'm using the right kind of texture here. So what I'm going to do, just real quick, is create a new file here, and I'm going to make this about 128 by 1024. It's going to be quite a long vertical texture here, and I'm going to put down a single hair. Now I already made a brush, and I didn't show how I did this, but it was real simple. I just made this shape using this pen tool, filled it in, like I basically just kind of went like this. Just click, click, just went like this and terminated it up there like that. And you gotta hold Alt here to go like this. So basically I just went like this and filled it. I mean, it was real simple. And then once it's filled, you can just select it like this, and you can go to Edit, Define, Brush Preset, which is grayed out because I don't have any geometry, I mean any image there, but you can define a brush preset. So that's how I created the brush. Now I could take this and just delete this. I don't need it anymore. So I'm just going to slap this down, and I'm going to get rid of all of this stuff here, and I'm going to make the brush a little bit bigger to kind of encompass my screen, and just click. So there's my individual hair. And now I'm going to, actually before I do that, I'm going to put it on a new layer so that it is on its own layer. And I'm thinking that I'm going to actually breach the bottom here, so I could probably make it one step bigger. I might as well use as much space as I can. So there's a hair. Alright, now I can hit Control here and add that as a channel. So you can see there's my alpha channel. And now what I'm going to do is invert this just to match it. Now what's cool is I can pretty much come in if I wanted to and use these other channels. Like blue, I could have a different shaped hair, maybe a little bit shorter, maybe a little bit more curved. Green, I could have maybe a thicker one or a thinner one. Red, I could have something, because these are just grayscale masks, so I got pretty much 4 channels I can mess with. But at this point I'm slightly still experimenting, so it's going to save this. It's a TGA, and this is going to be my hair mask test again. I'm just going to replace the old one that I created, which turned out to be useless. So now I'm going to pick that here, pick texture, bitmap, and let's go to recent places, Tarantula textures, hair map, mask texture. Okay, now you can see what's cool about that is it edits my size here. Okay, so let's just pick that again. Now you can see that it's not really showing up properly yet because I need to actually make sure that it's in view. So what I'm actually going to do too is add that to a material so I can better easily see what I'm using. It's going to show that. I'm going to pop that on here, and now you can see there's my hair, and you can see now how I can tell where the center is. So I probably need to, now if I go view here and I show the map, you can see that I can tell where I need to move it. So let's move it about here. Might need to move this up a little bit actually. Gotta be careful though, because UDK is going to want to tile this. You can tell that if I go too far, I'm going to end up tiling it myself. So about like that, it's going to work out pretty good, I think. What happened to it? It's right here. It's not going to hit the tiles. Well, no, it's going to hit the tile over here, isn't it? Just need to move that there. I don't want any like hard cutoff, so I got to try to get this to line up. As good as I can. I may need to shrink the texture down just a little bit. Okay, so that's good enough. So then I can come back here. I'll re-instance that. Now I'm not sure. I haven't messed with this too much, but I do believe that I can add this stuff. Okay, let me see if I can't figure out how to get that to actually display here. I can also actually, I believe I can tell this to, if I take this image and I copy it, I should be able to put it in the opacity here. And that's working on the main image. It's not working on the hairs. It might just be something that's not going to show up right now. I'm not real sure. Because it doesn't, I don't know. See, I got this thing here. Merge material. That doesn't appear to be working. Render settings. Yeah, this is just for general rendering. Okay. So anyways, I'm not real worried about that. Let's actually go ahead and knock that out so it's not gonna screw me over here. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is, first off, I'm gonna kind of set my hair count here. I'm gonna go for about 3,000 hairs. And you can see that that's enough. I mean, that's a lot of hair. It's only going to add 3,000 polygons. Like I said, I get up to about 30. I can get up to 50 if I want, I think. But I don't want to go like so crazy that I'm just being an idiot for no reason. But the cool thing is I can kind of like optimize it later if I want to in other methods. But in this case, I'm going to stick with 3,000 for the bum. And keep it at that for now. So what I can do is it's got some random scale on it, as you can see. Some of them are bigger, some of them are smaller. For now, I'm gonna X that out. I'm gonna put the random scale at zilch, so it's all maxed out. I'm going to make the root thickness quite a bit thinner. Not overly too thin, but quite a bit thinner than what it was. I'm thinking about 3 to 5. Yeah, 3.5. Okay, tip thickness I'm not going to have. Cut length, I can shrink them. Okay, can make it, you know, stubbly or real hairy. But for now, I'm going to go with real hairy. Very hairish. Not furrish. I want to make sure that my segments are zilch, even though it doesn't make a difference because I'm instancing geometry. But I want to make sure it is anyway. Let's see what we can mess with. Can I do clumps? Is that even going to work? Let's see if I put it to 0, does that change anything? I don't think that's doing anything. Let's knock out frizz on the root. Let's frizz the tip a little bit more. Now, as you can see how I can get all kinds of, like, real crazy with that. I don't actually want that. I want it very uniform for now. Just right off the surface. Now, you'll see that these are, I think, not screen facing, but they could be for all I know. I can't really get them to rotate. So it looks like they're just at their orientation, which is what I want. Some of them might be a little bit turned. Like you can see that this edge is not parallel to this edge. I don't think I have any way to really mess with that. I do want to display it as geometry because I think if I don't, it swaps it over. Well, I guess it just colors it differently. This is actually a little bit more appealing to my eyeballs, though. That white was really hurting my eyes. So we'll keep it at that for now. This is pretty cool looking. And what we're going to do is go ahead and style this manually. So material parameters really didn't, there's no just straight up diffuse for anything that I can see. I don't want to differentiate the tip and the root or anything like that. So we'll keep it as is. Alright, now what we're going to do is we hit style hair. And the first thing I'm going to do is cut it. And you can see that I got this basically like a sphere here. And anywhere I click, I'm going to basically cut the hair. And it's cool because it shrinks the geometry based on where I click. So I kind of want it to be a little less hairy on the bottom. Most of the hair, the long hair, is going to be like on his back. So I can run down this line here, this line here, and maybe a little bit shorter here and a little bit shorter here. You got to kind of turn your camera. I'm using a space mouse, which is like the greatest thing in the universe for doing this. If you don't have one, just cry yourself to sleep on your tiny little pillow, and then go get one. So I want that. So I want it to be quite a bit shorter at the front and be longer in the back, like so. And I think that's going to work. Now I kind of want to go around them and just get rid of any. Now remember, I'm only messing with the guides. I'm not messing with the actual geometry, and I have much less guides than I do geometry. But the cool thing is it's going to interpolate in between. Because if you look at the hairs minus the guides, like say if I finish styling, you can see that all these hairs are much shorter than all of these hairs over here. And I have a very, very cool set of controls over that with the styling tools. Okay, you can see how I got this nice, like almost lemon shape going on now. So let's go back here. Now I'm only going to mess with the tips, and we are going to use translate. And what that lets me do is just grab these, kind of carte blanche-ish, Kate carte blanche, and style it just by dragging it in the direction that I want it to go. Now I got to keep in mind that my geometry doesn't have multi-segment, right? It's just a very long, thin, single triangle. So it's going to be important that I don't take something and go too far down, because I can end up passing the geometry through the surface of the model, like you see here, which that's undesirable. Now, the other thing, a good idea to do while you're doing this is save your ass off. So I'm going to call this Tarantula Hair Creation, because I need to save these guides. Because every once in a while, what'll happen, and it might happen during the video, I noticed this like when I was playing with this earlier, that all of a sudden all your hair guides are just going to like reset themselves out of nowhere. So when you start getting like on track, you'll notice that I'm not going here because I don't want to affect too much. I'm just trying to use the edge of my brush. Okay, it gives me a little bit less influence when I drag, but it's better overall because I don't affect hairs that I don't want to affect, you know? I'm not grabbing any of these and pulling them through the wrong way. So just keep styling and profiling. I got like the worst puns. Alright, so then just gonna kind of run a check. And you can look on the inside too, and you can see that in a couple of spots, you know, the hairs are kind of passing through the geometry. But so far, I'm still kind of okay. Now the cool thing about them being just like single triangles like that is if I totally botch one, I can pretty easily fix it just by grabbing the one point and fiddling it around. So let's get these. I could have probably done dynamics on this actually. It's something I haven't tried yet, but I could probably turn the butt so that it's facing straight down and then just let gravity take over. But in this case, I am not doing that because I'm scared to try it. Plus, I don't want to run any more experiments. I've been running experiments all day. This is working. And it's very nice, I think. This works out real cool. Very cool way to do it. And you have to use the instancing thing, you know. You can't really do this too many other ways. Also, one of the things is that, oh, there it is. I was wondering where that tool was. So you can kind of grab individual ones here. It's like if there's a group. But you got to remember that each one of these guys is controlling about, 20, 30, 40, 50 hairs or so. But I definitely want to make sure that none of them end up passing through the object. Or as few end up passing through the object as I can get away with. So it's going to be too much of a pain in the ass later, and I don't really want to deal with it. I know you can select stuff, and again, remember, I'm only messing with the end of the hair, so that the roots are staying where they are. That's important. That's like a big thing that you want to make sure you have. It depends on the kind of thing that you're doing. You can use this to make some really, really, like, honestly, like, if you've got the skills, you can make Pixar quality hair, Disney quality hair. For movies, this stuff is great, or renderings or whatnot. But for games, it's a little more limited. So you notice how I'm just putting the circle right on the end, so I only get that one little straggler, these two stragglers, and I just pull them down. Again, the influence is a little bit less, but it still works. So that's what matters. Let's get these and kind of just want to pull the bottoms down just a little bit towards that angle there. Spread it out just a little. This again, this guy is gonna be a boss, and one of his moves is actually he's gonna be like showering hair needles down at the players, because they do that. They flick their hairs at people, and it gets in your eyes and chokes you and stuff like that. It doesn't kill you or anything, but I believe it causes a pretty nasty rash because they do actually spear into you. They shoot them out pretty fast. I don't even know what mechanism they do that with, to be honest with you. I do know that spiders in general work on a series of hydraulic pumps. They don't have bones and they don't have muscle. That's why when you step on a spider, on accident, obviously, because you're not supposed to kill anything, which is total crap. I kill spiders all the time. I'm a murderer of the spiders. But I do like them. I just, if they're in my room, they gotta go. That's just all there is to it. There's just no question about it. That thing is not going to bite me or crawl onto my my testicles or something. And I wake up and it's like cradling my sack, and I don't want a heart attack, I don't want to be going to the hospital with some kind of nasty spider bite. So the spider ends up in my room, is dead. But they don't so when you do crush them, they have like a goo inside, right? It's just a shell and goo. And so what they do is basically they flood chambers they have like a heart, and apparently they can like open and close valves. I don't know exactly how it works. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I haven't really like done any research. I used to have a tarantula like as a pet, if you can call it that. It was more of a study aid. that I was using. Because I like drawing these guys, and I really just love them in general. They're monsters, they're aliens. But so, I did a little research on how it works. So they pump this fluid, which is their blood, basically, spider goo. And what it does is, as it pressurizes, it's like a hydraulic piston kind of thing. Not a piston, but just like more of a hydraulic. So as there's more pressure in a leg, the leg will like straighten, or the opposite or whatever, however the hell it works. But so then they do that in a particular sequence to do their movements, to move their bodies around. And I'm sure that in their brains, they're just moving their arm the same way we move ours. They're the same thought mechanism that we use for our legs moving. I mean, how do you tell your legs how to move? You just do it, right? I'm sure it's the same thing for them. So they, but the mechanism is different, and I think that's how I think the same thing drives how they are able to fire hairs at you at like bullet speed. Which I've never had one do. I've never seen that in real life. I've seen it in a video, and I think they had to like totally slow it down because you couldn't even see it. It was so fast. So yeah, he's going to be flicking these, but I'm not going to be animating that or anything like that. He's just going to kind of curl his butt underneath, and then it's just going to be like, just a bunch of hairs come raining down. And the hairs that I rain down are probably going to be more like spears, than these little tiny hairs. I got to exaggerate it so you can see what's going on. It is, after all, a game, So I'm thinking that I'm kind of liking where I'm at. And let's check the inside and see if... I think I have a few that I'm going to have to fix kind of manually. Maybe it is doing some kind of a screen angle thing. Let's see, if I show this as geometry now, it's going to hurt. I got to finish styling before I do that. Show as geometry, turns white. Yeah, you can see I got a few, I believe, that are poking through a little bit here and there, but it should be relatively easy to grab. And you can see that the coverage is cool as hell. It really is cool. And you get nice flows to it, And again, I'm gonna end up with 3,000 polygons. So what you do is when you're done, you just hit hair to mesh, and you're done. So I can hide selected, and there it is. There's the hair. And now, it'd be funny if this was like 3,000 objects, but I don't believe it is. Now, I believe I can assign this. And look at that. Now it's actually, each one of these is using the right texture if I can find an angle in it. Kind of hard, but there it is. Each one got the right texture. Very cool. Very cool. So what I can do is just unhide all. I'm going to go ahead and give this a save. My hair generating object, hairy butt, needs to be hidden because I don't want to see that. But what I do want to do is check. It looks like outer space. Trippy. Alright, so I'm going to take my main body and I'm going to pop his actual materials on here. So I'm just going to call this. I mean, you can see real-time environment, that looks like hair, Even without the alpha channel working, because it's not working, you can see the black. But once I go here and pop that on, look at that. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but that's hair to me, It needs to be a little two-sided here, but so the body itself needs a new material. So this is Tarantula body, and I'm gonna pop the diffuse bitmap here. Okie doke, Tarantula diffuse. And I gotta make sure that I'm not using this alpha channel. It would be none on the alpha source. So let's assign that and make sure that I can see it. These are kind of sticking out a little straight. I could have probably styled this part of the ass a little bit better. But the cool thing is I still have it. So I can go back to styling it and lay this stuff down a little bit better after I see it in action. Okay, it's a little twisted. But in general, I'm really happy with the results. And in general is what counts. Let's let it pick up just a little bit up at the top. Oh, see, why would it do that? See how it kind of undid what I was doing? It's always a good idea to kind of just like hit save a bunch. I'm not doing it right now because I'm stupid and lazy. But still the theory here is absolutely freaking sweet. Did it do it again? It did it again. See, that's kind of frustrating. That was happening to me earlier too. So I think I'm going to hit finish styling and then hit restyle again, so that if it's going to reset to anything, it's going to reset to this. In a sense, it's actually kind of fun to do this. I mean, you can come up with a lot of different, crazy different looks, if you were so inclined, I believe. See how it reset it as soon as I clicked? What the fuck is going on? Okay, I think I'm happy with it. Definitely looks like a furry ass. Is it wrong that it makes me horny? It doesn't, I'm just kidding. Okay, so I used 3,000 for that part. Now, I think I gotta kind of manage how much I'm gonna use here. I'm at 20,000 for the model, 3,000, so I'm at 23,000. If I did another 3,000 for this part of the body, Uh, that could work out pretty well, because that would put me to 26. Again, I'm going to try to hit about 35. God, my mouse button's screwing up on me. So I'm thinking that each leg, because I got 8 of them, right? And I got the pedipalps here. Each leg could probably use 1,000. They give me another 8. That would put me at 34. So maybe if I did 800 instead, that would give me 6,400. Or maybe even 500. Because remember, the hairs, I kind of want them to just to kind of be like on this long part and slightly kind of like generating just from the joint part down. And I don't really need hairs from the rest of each segment. Just from the joints out, kind of. That's probably, so I probably don't even need to use as many as 800 each leg. I can probably get away with less than that. But I am going to have to do each leg individually. Right now it's a single mesh. So if I hit F4 here, it's a single mesh. It's 11,000 polys each. Again, I could fix the segments. I could get rid of some of these if I really need to. Some of them just didn't, you know, I added just for the sake of keeping it high quality, you know. But that's going to be easy to pull out, especially considering that each one of these segments is a complete unwrap, like a UV. So if I ditch these from the unwrap, they're not going to break the unwrap. So I'm thinking that I kind of want to do the body next, which I'm going to have to kill his fangs, probably get rid of his whole face. I might just keep a few of the polygons around here. I don't want any on the very edge of him, so I might delete this strip around the rim of him here. This one here. So that'll probably work out. Alright, so let's clone him. Is going to be Tarantula, hairy chest. Yes. Okay, and then we'll hide unselected here. So let me get this out of the way. And it's going to be time to delete his bum. So I can grow that. Probably grow that one more time. Let's get rid of that. Definitely want the fangs gone. And I'm thinking I probably want that segment gone too. I want his face gone. So let's... What button am I hitting? I'm hitting the wrong button. Let's grab about there. Get rid of this stuff. Don't want his face included in this selection. I mean, I don't want his face included in the fur generation. And I'm thinking probably a good idea to get rid of those and pop that. And I think I want none of this to grow hair, but maybe I do. I think I do. I think I want it like that. You know what? Let's keep all of this. Just lose the mouth itself. Like that. So I don't want that. And I also don't think that I want to really grow any hair right down the center here. Okay. It's looking a little choppy here in my selection. Let's go ahead and get rid of these two. Okay, I think that's good. So that's out of there. Whether or not I want it here. Okay, so I'm going to take this edge, I'm going to hold shift and get that whole segment, hold control and click so I get this whole rim. I don't want any hair growing on that. I don't want any in the eyes. So let's hit 2 and zoom in. Okay, and then I can hold control and click this. So there's the eyes, no hair on them. Same thing with the leg segments. A bit of a pain in the ass to grab these. Can I get this loop? Not really. Alright, let me just get in here. I'll just do it like this. Yeah, my mouse is screwing up. I hate that when my mouse is screwy. And I have to get the other side. There's no real quick way to get these selections, unfortunately. Okay, let's hit F3. Let's just check. Looks good. Okay, and now I should be able to do like this. I missed one. Did I miss it on the other side? Nope. Alright, so grow, grow, grow. Should be good. Delete that. I think the rest I want to keep. I do think I want hair everywhere else. Most likely, yes. Yes! Alright, so let's unhide by name. Get our single hair. And I do need to pause the video because actually I have to really go to the bathroom. So I'll be back in a microsec. Okay, so I do like where I'm at, but what I'm going to do is just go ahead and end this part and do the rest of him in another part where I do the body and the legs and the pedipalps kind of just all in one part because it's going to probably take a little while and I don't want this video to start running into an hour and a half and whatnot. So Hitbot signing off for this part, and I will see you in the next one, and I'll finish the rest of it, and then we'll see about getting it into UDK. A couple of things though. It's gonna be a little bit. Oh, I gotta get rid of these polys here, but it's gonna be a little slightly tricky to get the. Just get that out of the way so my brain can stop thinking about it. The skin modifier to work properly. Fortunately, the butt here, it's pretty much gonna be one like solely solid piece. I'm not gonna have it bend. You know, like it's just gonna be one bone from pretty much right here to here, and then there'll be bones for these little things to kind of move back and forth as it sprays web or whatever. I did give him a web shooter, or a corn cannon if you want to call it. It's his butthole right there. So yeah, it's not going to be too difficult to do the skin modifier. The legs should be easy too, because again, there's just going to be like one 50-50 joint right here for the most part. This is probably going to remain one solid segment. I don't know if I'm going to put bones in each one of these. I know they can curl them quite a bit, but I might be able to get away with it just using 2 bones. If I just use 2 bones, I can probably use foot placement IK inside a UDK. So yeah, I mean, it'll be easy because I can basically skin all of the hairs to the same abdomen bone that I'm going to create. So he's really only going to have 2, just 1, 2 right down the middle, so he can bend right here. And then I'm going to have a different style and set of bones for the mouth, and I think each tooth is going to have a bone too, so that I can kind of like do like finger movement where they kind of flutter at you kind of thing, you know, so you can kind of scream and yell and at least move it a little bit, which may affect how much of this geometry I'm gonna put the hair on. But I can pretty easily just get the roots of the hairs and skin them just one for one off the surface, you know, whatever it is. The thing to want to avoid is I don't want the roots of the hairs like shifting around. So that's going to be the tricky balance on some of these things. The pedipalps might be a little difficult if this is 50%, you know, with 2 bones or whatever, so I can curl this. I could end up with issues where the hairs that are coming off of here could like float and shift and move around, and I'm kind of anticipating that, but for the most part I'm just going to have to kind of play with it and go around. But at least this part where there's literally, you know, there's 3,000 of them exactly, it won't be that hard. And again, let me see, like in the beginning here, I can take this and I'm going to save it just in case this breaks anything weird. I do have a pretty easy control here. The guides are driving everything, so I can lower the amount of hair no problem. And if I needed to, I could make it be thicker to make up for it, you know, if I really wanted to. But really, I think I'm okay with 3,000. Then you can have a little fun with it. You can say, oh, so 10,000. It's probably going to crash. No, it's running pretty good. That is some hair. That is some fur. That is looking cool. Obviously can't use that, but maybe for a cinematic version of him I could. And given that, now I can actually, now that I've got it all styled right, I can do a bit of a random scale on it, you know. So we can make it a little bit more offset. So let's say like the random scale is like 40. So it's a little bit more ragged. Things like that. Lots of fun stuff you can do pretty easily. And again, you know, what's nice about them is that they're all generated right off that, you know, right off the root there. So anyways, this is Hip Hop signing off, and I'll see you guys in the next part.